So what I wanted to do, some of you may have seen that I was recently speaking at IT Nation, and thank you very much to the IT Nation community for inviting me once again to that. What I wanted to do was actually create a video that explains the training in a bit more depth, for the simple reason that I want to show everyone that when you help people with the knowledge, you make it very accessible for the actual knowledge itself, and what you charge for is the implementation. I want to show you how well this journey works simply by embodying it and giving that content away. And what we're about to cover over the next maybe 5 to 7 minutes is how do you build the same process? How do you really understand what you need to do with marketing, what you need to do with video creation at the moment, and how do you distribute it out there? So let's kick straight off with it. Before you go anywhere near any form of marketing, before you go near any form of lead generation, you need to have nailed down 3 main questions. And for the simple reason that only once you've understood these 3 questions can you truly create product and service to serve that market. And the 3 questions you really, really need to get right are: who are our people? So who's our persona or our customer? Who's the perfect person that we can help? What's the challenge that that person has that only we can solve, or that we can solve really, really well? And within that falls in the idea of like your unique gift, or what your unique way of doing something is for the business. And then the third thing you need to master is the result that they get as a result of working with you. So the 3 things are: know who you're trying to identify and is your target audience. What's the challenge or pain or problem that this person's trying to solve? And the third thing is, what's the result they get as a result of working with you? Now, most people will say, we can help anyone in this sector. Well, it's like, if you're trying to cast a net out to the entire ocean, you're never going to pick up any fish, right? So what we need to think about, Seth Godin will call it the smallest addressable market. And I would always encourage you to narrow it down to 5 to 10 people. So if you think about the last 5 to 10 customers that you had, take a pen and piece of paper, or a pen and piece of paper, or a notepad, and basically write down the last 5 customers that you worked with, or people that you spoke to. Go, oh, I actually need that, or I actually need something similar. Take those 5 people. Think about the challenge that they had when they came to you, or think about the challenge that they were talking about before they enrolled you in their services. Was it clarity that they needed? Was it they didn't have the time to implement it? Was it that they didn't have the resource to implement it? Was it that they didn't want to worry about the implementation of it? What was the challenge that they had that you were able to identify and solve with them? And then the third thing you need to think about is, what's the result they get? And then this is where marketing really comes into its own. This is when you create content. This is when you create value to the marketplace. This is where you actually go. What you're thinking about is, if, say, let's just say we'll take the technology world. Let's just say it's cybersecurity. And let's just say Cyber Essentials has 10 core elements that make up a cyber compliant business. With your marketing, what you need to look at is those 10 steps, and we'll get into this properly in a minute, but those 10 steps, right, you need to look at, say, the first 2, and you need to start thinking about, how do I start helping someone just do the first steps of this cyber journey? For the simple reason, instead of just talking about cybersecurity or compliance, what you need to do with marketing is continuously demonstrate that you can actually do what you're promising to someone you can do. This is where the marketing world has moved towards. Daniel Priestley words it really, really well in saying, you give information freely, you charge for implementation. So what marketing needs to move towards is, hey, here's how you go and do this on your own. If you don't want that headache, if you don't want that risk of doing this completely on your own, here's how we can have an easy conversation regarding getting you support and guidance on actually how we can implement this alongside you. So the first thing to really think about and take away from this video so far is your top 5 personas. So your 3 points is your top 5 personas. Who do you help really, really well? What's the challenge they come to you with, and what are they trying to solve? The third thing is the result they get. And this right here is the message you market with. A lot of people talk about the challenge and the pain. And although that helps identify and trigger the emotion, what we need to talk about is, hey, have you got this challenge or pain? Have you got this thing going on? This is the thing we can actually do for you. And then this is where the marketing comes in, and I'll show you this in a second. Then you give them the how, right? You start to give away a piece of the how. Now, normally, a year ago, I would have said you never give away the how. You charge for the what and the why, and you give away the what and the why, and then you charge for the how. Now what we're saying is, if the how has got 10 steps, if how to become cyber compliant, or how to set up a business, or how to whatever you're trying to do, if it's got 10 segments to it, you want to start thinking about, how do I give away the first 2-3 segments so someone can actually see consistently this person can actually do what they say they can do. And then they naturally think, well, I've already started this journey, I see it actually works, I want to ramp this up now. How do I speak to them about actually implementing this? Now, here's the crucial middle step before we go anywhere near marketing. What you need to think about, and I'll throw it on the screen now as we're watching this, what you need to think about is something called an ascending pricing model, which is, if you just imagine a set of stairs progressively going up, what you need to think about is you need a free gift at the start of your sales cycle. So basically you need to look at it, and in fact I'll probably draw this. You need to imagine that there's a trust meter underneath a customer of how much they trust you about a certain thing, and you need to incrementally improve the trust between you and a customer. And we won't get too much into sales right now, but what I would say is we need to make sure we're under promising and then just delivering. We're promising late, we're under promising, and then we're just delivering incremental increases to basically say, hey, we're not going to come in and try and over promise the earth. We're not going to try and come in and promise we can do everything for you. What we're going to do is just help you incrementally, and it does two things for you. It allows you to build trust over time, which means it's built on a stronger foundation. But it also allows you to do is leverage what Daniel Priestley just did a big talk about at IT Nation, which is the oversubscribed model. If you just sell the top tier package without kind of making anybody wait or create any exclusivity around it, it does two things. Firstly, it might give you an influx of work that you cannot scale to meet demand of, which means your operation, your service will fall over. What it also does, it doesn't allow a customer to feel unique or special in terms of the experience that you give them. Because if you suddenly, you can start tomorrow, it makes it sound like you don't have a structured onboarding. Whereas if I say to you, hey, we can actually begin sales training. Good news is I've got a cohort starting in about 6 weeks' time, at the start of April or the start of May. Would that timeline work with you? Because in that time, I can then onboard you in the right way. We can get all the documents set up so that by the first day, you're actually ready to begin sales training. Does that sound fair enough? Or does that sound fair? Or whatever your choice of words are there. So the reason I'm sharing this is so important is because you need to have an ascending pricing model. In the simple way, you need to have a tiered system for someone to want to work with you. And this will all link into marketing in just a second. So the ascending pricing model is you need a free gift of, like, be that a webinar, be that a course, be that a book, be that a downloadable piece of content, for someone to basically either just use you for information and it builds up familiarity and awareness in the marketplace, or they go, if this is the content they're giving away for free, what happens if I actually spend a bit of money? What happens if I actually invest and spend a bit of money with this company? The second thing you then need is a product for your prospects. And this is someone that's either been burned before by someone that wasn't who they said they were or didn't deliver on what they said they did, or it's someone very new to the industry and they're like, hey, I think I need you. I've seen the content, I've seen what you and your business are doing, but I'm unsure whether I'm actually going to be able to apply this or implement this or whatever. So what you then can say is, hey, this is our core offering, which is say £1,200 a month, but for actually £300 a month, you can try and kind of like dip your toe into the market before you fully commit. And this will give you away similar experience, similar amount of support, but it's just not as ramped up to your business side yet. But you can try it in a silo, or you can try it in a cluster to start with to make sure it's actually something you need. And this is where your product for prospects really become like a lead magnet for the core offering. So basically for me, for example, with my new books, prospecting, with Discover Phenomenal's new book coming out soon, I would have the book. I'd also have a course that runs alongside it. So my expensive offer would be a course at, say, £1,200 to learn the same sales training that I'm teaching to large corporate. But for £15 or £20, I'd have a book and say, hey, if you think you need sales training, here's the course, £1,200. But what I've also got, if that's too much money right now, there is a £15 or £20 book that gives you all the same kind of principles, but it's delivered in a book format. Same exercise, the same principles, but it's in a book. And it just gives you a bit of a chance to feel into the content, make sure it's right for you. So that's those 2 points there. And then the final thing I'm going to talk about in this video, and this is really where you start to shine with your marketing, and you can really start to support people, is you have then a core offering. And the core offering is where you really excel as a business. It's where you're unique. It's where you've got that expertise. And the reason I share it in this way is because ideally your core offering is your marketing, and what you're sharing via marketing. So let's just say your core offering is, if you're in the technology space, it's managed services, or it's cyber compliance, or it's cyber essentials, or it's backup disaster recovery. If that's your core offering, right, this is what we actually want to market. We want to market where we're strongest, your core ability. Why did you set the business up in the first place? Your why, your mission, your vision, your purpose, whatever these words are, right? This is what we actually want to market, and we can do the same for any product or service that you offer. So let's just say you offer managed services, you offer cyber security, and you also offer backup disaster recovery. So that you have 3 core offerings. This same core that you've got here is we can have the same marketing mix I'm about to go through for all 3 offerings. And let me just run you through the framework for how we market and how we grow. So let's just summarize quickly before I go any further what we've covered so far. So the first thing we talked about was how to identify your market, which is get really clear on the persona you're going after or you're trying to target, the challenge that they have, and the result that they get as a result of working with you. The second thing we looked at is actually how do we build a bit of a product mix so that we can actually have a tiering system called the ascending pricing model into our product. So if, like, for example, I've got a free gift, which could be a download, a webinar, or a book. I've then got a short version of the course, be that a book, an online piece of content, downloadable content, or a cheaper way of getting involved. And then I've got my core offering. Now, how to market this is really simple. Really, really simple. Hard to do, but simple to understand. The concept is called 12-4-3, but we can break it down really simply in 1-4-3. So 12-4-3 is your year's worth of content, but if you want your month's worth of content, it's 1-4-3. And what 1-4-3 stands for is you have a month's worth of content, so you have a theme for the month. So how this works is you take BCDR, so backup disaster recovery, and you break it down into what are 12 themes that fall within backup disaster recovery. So it could be deep archive, it could be cloud versus on-prem, it could be what data to actually be backing up, what data to throw away, how do we deal with data hygiene. So what you then do is you take backup disaster recovery, that's the product or service you're trying to sell. You then break it down into 12 themes of content, and that would be 12 months of content for you, and you cover each theme for the month. Then what you do is you then divide it into 4 weekly topics. So if you just say, let's just take for example data hygiene, and with that would be our theme for the month. We then break data hygiene down by 4 weekly ideas. So it could be how to have healthy hygiene within your CRM, how regularly to back up content from your CRM, how to manage recovering that data quickly, and it could be how to find the balance between on-prem versus in the cloud. And that would be 4 weeks of content that you would then cover. So just to summarize so far, Emily, you are a superstar. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Am I being too noisy?
Okay. No, not at all.
We're
You're
okay?
all good. Yeah,
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're
That
welcome.
looks incredible. Thank you. So the whole concept so far is your 12 months of content. So we're selling BCDR, backup disaster recovery. You then think of 12 things that fall within backup disaster recovery. You then break each theme, so 12 months of content, you break each theme down by 4 weekly ideas, and then this is where the 3 comes in, and then this is actually how you create the video. Let's just say one of the themes is data hygiene. One of the weeks is, say, what data to keep. The 3 is, when it comes to what data to keep, we then need to think of 3 main points that fall within that week of content. So if it's backup disaster recovery, it's data hygiene within our CRM. It's then what data to keep, which is one of our first weeks of conversation, what's 3 topics, what's 3 pieces of content that fall nicely within there for you? And this is just a high level overview of what 12-4-3 is. If any of it's been kind of confusing, or if any of it's been a little bit uncertain, or you'd like a bit of space to actually say, hey Alex, can we take 20 minutes to actually discuss this? I get the concept, I want some help building this now. I will put a QR code on the bottom of this email, on the bottom of this video, and I'll also put a link to my Calendly link to actually book in a free 25-minute call where all we do is really explore what your 12-4-3 could be, because what I'm essentially doing is 2 things. Firstly, I'm trying to show you how well this system works, but I'm also trying to show you what happens when you give away enough content for free up front. Because if you think about me, I'm going to show you behind the curtain now of what this is all about. I'm a sales coach and trainer, so my job is to help you really get good when it comes to your first time appointments, really get laser focused on how do you initially sell a product or service, but also how do I retain that business, because it's incredibly expensive to win new business, right? It's really quite an expensive process of taking someone from, I don't know about you, all the way to buying and keeping that customer. What I'd like to talk to you about and help you with, if I can help you get an influx of inbound opportunities, they either support the churn that's leaving the business naturally, right? Or they help you grow and scale exponentially. So what I'm doing is giving away enough value up front to hopefully, or eventually get you to the point where you go, well, I might as well book him for also sales training. And what I'm encouraging you to think about is how can you follow the same or a similar process with inside your technology business. So let's just quickly summarize a few of the points that we've really hit today. The first point is we looked at your persona, your challenge, your result. The second thing we looked at is the pricing model, which is called the ascending pricing model, of how do you tier your offerings within the business. And then the third thing we looked at is your 12-4-3. You take a product, your core offering you're trying to sell, we take that, we divide that down into what's 12 themes that fall within that. That gives us 12 months of content. We take each theme for a month and we divide it by 4 weekly ideas. And then for each week of that month that we're covering that content, we break the video down into 3 to 5 key points that we want to hit within that video. Now here's a little bit of bonus to finish off this bit with. You film the 1 week of content in 1 full video, similar to what I'm doing here, right? In fact, let's just break this video down real quick. I filmed an 11-minute, 12-minute, whatever this video is, right? I've hit 3 key points within it. Who's your target audience? How do you build a pricing model? How do you market? So I've now created 1 long video, which is called long form. What I can then do is take this video, cut it up into its 3 individual points, and then so I've got 4 pieces of content, absolute minimum, from 1 full video. And what I want you to think about is how do you start to do the same? So you take BCDR, Backup Disaster Recovery, you break it down by 1 theme, right, or 12 themes for the month. The theme for this is helping people market. You then break it into 3 ideas of content, which is my persona, my value, my pricing model, and my marketing, and then you share that video out to the world. Now you don't have to do it as full on as I have with a camera set up here and a camera set up there for different angles and all this stuff. What you can just do is just put the camera in front of your face, film the video, put it through CapCut, let CapCut, that's an app for your phone by the way, let CapCut edit the video for you, caption it, top and tail the rear end, so you get top and tail either end of it, so you get rid of the start where you're looking at the camera and you get rid of the end where you're turning the camera off. So just crop it at each end, caption it in CapCut, put it out on Instagram, put it out on LinkedIn, put it out on your social media. Consistently do this for, Daniel Priestley will call it 7-11, which is 7 hours of content or 11 interactions. The minute you build up towards 7 hours of content and 11 interactions is when you start to build familiarity with an audience. And the minute you become familiar, and if you keep sharing this a consistently positive, a consistently good message, you will naturally start to get inbound opportunities. Now, here's the bonus of the bonus. This is the final point. For the sake of marketing, not for the sake of marketing, for the reason you're doing all of this activity is not to get vanity metrics on social media. The idea behind what you're trying to do is to drive traffic, drive your customers towards a central point for you to handle their inquiries. So what I'd encourage, I'll maybe do this in a separate video in a minute, what I'd encourage is that you're leading everyone towards a webinar or some form of event, be that in person or otherwise. The whole reason for it is you cannot sell through social media. It's just impossible to do it, right? You might get lucky. Someone might go, they might see enough to go, actually, I'm just going to buy your service off the back of it. But you're not selling commodities. You're not selling tangible items, which makes it tough. What I would encourage is that you use marketing or you use your social media to simply drive people towards a central point, right? And we'll talk about diagnostics tools and surveys and scorecards and all this stuff in a minute or on the next video. But what you really want to focus on is driving traffic towards a central point, be that a webinar or an event, for you then to be able to handle questions and everything else. So I'll do a part 2 right now of actually how do we successfully run scorecards, what's the point of them, and also why do we build webinars. Hopefully you found this of some use. In fact, I don't like hopefully. I can imagine you found this of some use. Drop a comment or drop a point in kind of the biggest takeaway for you and the next step. But also, if you'd like to take this into a further conversation, click the link below or scan the QR code, book a 25-minute call with me or join a webinar if there's one available. And I look forward to supporting you on the next step of your marketing or business growth journey. Thank you for your time. God bless. See you soon.